Shalom. I want to give all underground praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bashir, Kakudash, the abundance to the elders and apostle, great millstone, who taught me this truth and sincerity, so I take this to hopeful and spirit of the folk and synergy. All right. This is going to be another video entitled Weaponizing the Dollar in parentheses that have sanctions backfire. Okay. Now, currently at present, the US dollar is a global reserve currency holder. Okay. Right. And they're using that position, okay, to sanction different countries, which will, weaken their economy, okay, in short terms, right? Because U.S. signed a petrodollar deal with Saudi Arabia, right? And that that petrodollar deal agreement goes into, how if nations wanted to, get oil or buy oil, right, you know, it would have to basically be bought in U.S. dollars, okay? Um, and U.S. Basically sanctioned Russia and Iran. Okay, there's swift restrictions. Okay, which goes into um, which halts Russia, which halts Russia economy, disrupt trade. Okay, because they're being kicked out of the international banking community, right? And their banks being rejected. Okay, their international banks are being rejected. Okay. So this is why you have something called Brits. Okay, so these nations, they form, they're forming because they see that they see that the U.S. dollars, okay, is strong, right? But they also see that the USA itself, Babylon the Great, which we know call it Babylon the Great, is also collapsing. Okay, so they're going to these. They're building their own economy, right? Through this alliance called Brits. Okay, which represent Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, right? Which, it reduces the reliance on U.S. dollar. Okay. Brits pay, right? We have something called Brits pay, which is an alternative payment system among BRIC nations. Okay. We have something called a contingent reserve agreement, which is a financial safety net, okay, for nations that is within BRICS. Okay. Meaning that if a nation needed a fund for like a major disaster, or just needed to pay for debt, or just needed for something, i.e., trading, military, okay, etc., right? They can go to their BRICS, okay, ally, right, and they will be able to provide them with the necessary funds, okay, to assist them, right? Which could be, the big and the big ones are what, Russia and China, okay, the major ones, right? So it's designed to help members handle currency without relying on the IMF, which stands for International Monetary Fund. Okay, International Monetary Fund, which was something that created, I believe, 1943, right after World War II, which basically it was created to assist developing countries or countries that is, in some type of disaster or needs fund for a project. Okay, etc. Right. So you know these nations, that are within Britain, they're not relying on the IMF, okay, for funds, or to assist them in developing or disaster issues. Okay, and I believe the IMF banking is located in Washington, or not in Washington, by America. I forget what state. Why do you want to know where I'm from? I'm not gonna tell you where I'm from. Why do you want to know where I'm from? So I'm gonna get some precepts. Isaiah 33. Isaiah 33:1 reads, "Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled." All right, Isaiah 33 reads, "Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled, and when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they should deal treacherously with thee." Right, and this goes back to what? When that should say peace and safety and sudden destruction will fall upon you. Okay, which goes back into like yeah, which goes back into the distortion that's gonna happen, okay, on the wicked, okay, because they're saying peace and safety. Main America is saying peace and safety through what? Through controlling, um, through its military, okay, and being the ability to go into other countries, all right, and and it's that country and put a puppet leader in that country that will, promote their ideology, promote their beliefs, and push whatever they want to push, okay, and basically be a money making and help the economy of Babylon the Great. Okay, that's how this devil drives. Okay, that's how he drives. That's how he keep his system going. Okay, so that's how he deal treacherously. Okay, you know, by betraying. Right, because the word treasure go to betray. Right, he betrayed his own um allies at this point. Right, by saying that he want to go to Greenland. All right, and it's Greenland. Okay, making that U.S. territory. Okay, you know. But I thought this devil was supposed to be a peacemaking, okay, person, right? But it's the devil, right? Devil mean what? Deceives, okay? He doesn't. The devil doesn't make peace, right? Okay, he just brings deception. Okay, the wicked cannot do good, right? And it says so. What the wicked cannot do good. A wicked person that was created to be wicked won't ever do good, right? The devil that is working through Esau, right? Working through the top bankers elite, right? You know, they were not created to do good; they were created to do wicked, evil. Okay, and spoilers, right? Spoiling these nations, right? Destroying these nations, right? Which goes the word spoil goes back to destroy, right? Esau is destroying these nations. He's destroying Venezuela. He's destroying Cuba. Okay, these nations they can thrive, on their own, but since these nations are not connected to the devil system, i.e., these nations don't have a top banking elite, one of the Rothschild banking in their country, right? They don't get any support, you know, by these major nations, by Esau. Okay, they don't get any support with development or anything, right? So they have to rely on these other nations, i.e., Russia, China, India, South Africa, right? That are not really connected to Esau. Okay, banking, right? To in order to survive, in order to prosper. Okay, and but the devil hate that. He want everyone, okay. He wants everyone to be under his control. Okay, when you're not under his control, what happens? Your president get kidnapped. Okay, you get threatened that your country gonna get invaded. All right, because this is what Esau. He's threatening Cuba, saying that Cuba don't comply with Cuba. Okay, don't fix their issues that they have going on. Then they're gonna be next. Okay, even Greenland. Okay, And when thou should make an end to deal treacherously, they should deal treacherously with thee, right? Meaning what? These allied nations, right? American ally, right, which is referring to NATO and the EU, okay, mainly NATO, right, which was the 10 horns, right? They gonna turn on the horde, right? They gonna betray the horde, right? You seen them doing it. You seen the small. The Lord allow us to see a small sneak peek of what they're gonna look like, right? Because you seeing the nations, you know, they're challenging their, what, Germany, I believe Spain, French, right? Sending their military to Greenland, right, to halt the invasion of U.S. troops, right? Why would someone who's allied with another nation need to something? First of all, a nation, if you're allied with a nation, right? Why are you, and you, what I mean by allied nation, I mean by you trade, right? Your troops train together, okay? You have a close relationship, right? Why are you sending troops to another allied country to halt the other allied troops from coming into that country, right? Or from invading that country, right? That doesn't make any sense. And this is the, but it does make sense in our world, in this world, in our viewpoint, it does make sense because what? It shows that prophecy is fulfilling, right? It shows that, if the scripture speaks about that the 10 horses hate the whore and they should burn her with fire, then in order for that to happen, these nations, these allied nation, NATO, has to be enemies with America, right? They have to be enemies. There has to be some sort of hatred in that bun, right? And this is what we're seeing, okay? And all praise to the Lord Yabashasha that we're seeing that, okay? Because what? We're one step closer to the kingdom of heaven, okay? Which everyone should be praising the Lord, okay, for prophecies are being fulfilled, right? Because we're pronouncing um, judgment on this devil day in day out. We're putting curses on the devil on his kingdom day in day out, okay, and we're seeing the Lord work, right? I read a prophecy, right? Not prophecy. I read a verse. I read paraphrasing what it is time for the Lord to work, right? Meaning what? It's time for him to bring judgment upon the wicked, right? He held long held his tongue, his anger, his wrath, right? Now it's time for him to release that indignation, release that indignation, which stands for a righteous anger on the wicked. Okay. Oh God. This is Revelation 13:9 reads. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Okay, if any man have an ear, let him hear. Now, this stands for ear. Okay, yes, you have ears where you can hear, right? But you have to have ears to be able to hear this prophecy and to be able to understand it as well, right? This is what basically that mean. This mean, if any man have an ear, okay, let him hear, right? Meaning what? Let him understand, okay, this prophecy, all right, this verse, okay, digest it and understand it. He that leadeth into captivity should go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience in the faith of the saints. Right. This is our patience, right? Right. And this is our faith, okay? That we know that this devil, right, Babylon the Great, the horde, right, have led the or people into captivity, right? The transatlantic slave trade, okay? Had led his people into captivity, took them from the west coast of Africa and brought them all the way to the east coast, the east Atlantic coast of America. Okay, that was the Lord people. That was the Israelites. Okay, the Negroes, right? And what the Haitians, the like the Negroes, right? Reuben. Okay, not Reuben. Fuck it, but the Lord people, right? They were brought to they're brought to the different islands, right? To different islands in North America to serve, captivities, okay, to be put in hardcore slavery, right, which is known as chattel slavery, right? But he that leads to captivity should go into captivity, right? So this devil, right, he led the Lord people into captivity, right? They want to make, what I think one of the I think it is someone, the devil, whoever made this message basically said the captivity of the Negroes was to, um basically was for our benefits. It wasn't, to make us feel like we was in slavery. Basically, that's what he's saying, right? But we know all that's a lie, right? But these devils try to cover their wickedness, but it won't be covered, right? The scripture speaks about that. His the rust of the wicked should not all be wiped away. Okay, we're seeing his rust, we're seeing his wickedness. Okay, we're seeing that he's a devil, right? We're seeing that, what Second Thessalonians 2, right? That the wicked has been revealed. Okay, we're seeing the wicked being revealed. We know who the wicked is. It's just our people, the two judges out here, that is, so tuned. Their mind is made have been made darkness. They don't see that. Okay, they might now. Our people might. They know that the devil is wicked. They know that the so-called white person is wicked. What I mean by white person, I mean by the devil, right? The Esau. Okay, they know that in their flesh that, if they come across someone and their spirit is not like theirs, right, or their spirit might be over, they may be a little bit racist, right, then they know they have that small tiny bit of, you know who the wicked is, right, but they don't know the larger bit. Okay, that's and when if they know that, then they will, be then they will have that full understanding of, there's a reason why I'm in this position. I'm in this position. That's the reason why I'm going through what I'm going through, right? Because they have that because it's the devil that is, you know, putting them through this, hellish conditions. Okay, so continue reading. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Okay, he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. All right. How this devil is always is daily killing the Lord's people with the sword. You have something called ice, right? Ice ain't doing nothing but killing the other kingdom, right? Which are what the Mexicans, right? Gag, you know, and so forth and so on, right? You have something called what the Wall Street, okay? You know, where these devils, they'll go to Jake towns, right? It was like towns that were fully developed, right? That didn't rely on Esau at all, you know, and they will burn them towns down, right? Destroy them towns, right? Just because Jake was, living well, okay, was doing good without him, okay, without relying on his system. And Esau was mad at that, right? But he killed a lot of our people with that sword, okay, you know. So guess what? It's his time to be killed with the sword, right? And this is where you go into what the vengeance of Yahushua upon his enemies, upon our enemies. Okay, his enemies are our enemies. Okay, and what is the enemies? The wicked Esau. Okay, the nations, the other nations, the heathens. Okay, and it's about to be time the Heavenly Father, ultimately Yahweh sending his son Yahushua to raise vengeance upon the other nation, the heathen. Okay. Get here, Jeremiah 51:8. This is Jeremiah 51 1 reads, thus says the Lord, Yahweh Shah Shah, right? Behold, I will raise up against Babylon, against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me a destroying wind. Okay, a destroying wind. Okay, which should represent nuclear missiles, right? And this Babylon referring to modern day Babylon. Okay, Babylon the Great, and will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day, for in the day of trouble, they shall be against her round about. Okay, fanners represent all the nations, okay, that have nuclear missiles. Okay, all the nations that have nuclear missiles. So these nations are referring to Russia, okay, China, North Korea, okay, all nations that have nuclear missiles. Okay, and this they should enter and land me what no one will be residing in America once this nuclear destruction kicks off. Right, once the nuclear destruction kicks off and these nuclear bombs stop flying and hitting all different territories of America, right, of Babylon the Great, it gonna empty the land, make it desolate. Literally, buildings gonna be destroyed. Right, it gonna the only thing that's gonna be left, what is are the it's gonna become a desert land. The only thing that's gonna be left, if it's gonna become desert land, that means that it's gonna the structures are gonna be flattened. Okay, everything gonna be flat. All right, there might be everything you're gonna be turned into chaff. Okay, and rubble. Okay, and it's gonna become a land for desert creatures. Right, so for your birds. Okay, and your different creatures. Right, that reside in the desert. Okay, against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifted himself in his um breaking on, and spare ye not her young man, destroy ye utterly all her host. Right, so these nations, right, that's bearing nuclear missiles, they're not going to spare the military might of America. They're going to spare the armies, okay, the people, the citizens of America, right? You know, they're not, okay. Meaning, mainly, they're not, okay. Or they go. This is what we're going to. This is what we're going to World War III, the third world. This is the third destruction that Jeremiah is prophesying. Okay, this is the third destruction, right? I think World War II was bad, but just wait for this destruction. Now, this destruction is gonna be with nuclear, with a destroying wind. Okay, that is capable of destroying an entire continent. Okay, that can literally turn humanity. That can literally, you know, take humanity off the planet. Okay, that's the type of power the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh developed, allowed to be developed. Okay, put it in the minds of these scientists, right? Okay, to develop a power, a weapon that's so powerful that it can wipe out in it can turn the it can the human race can be extinct. Okay, thus the flames shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. Okay, for Israel has not been forsaken, nor Judah of his power, the Mosiah of the Lord Yabashasha host, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Okay, even though Israel, which are first the Israelites, okay, the 12 tribes, sinned against the Lord Yabashasha by worshiping other gods, practicing witchcraft, just going off in all types of ways. Okay, they will be redeemed, which is referring to what the elect. the elect first, the elect of Israel, right? The 1/3, okay. Those the saints. Those are the saints are what those are separated, okay. They're holy, okay, and live their life not according to the ways of this world, all right. And they came back they came back to following the true power, Yahweh Shah, and the Lord will have mercy on them, okay. But the 2/3, right? Those that are other 12 tribes of Israel, but they're not living their life in a godly way, right? They will be redeemed through the loins of the elect, right, in the kingdom of heaven, okay. But if they don't repent, they're gonna be destroyed, okay. Because we were once all, you know, actually, I want to say that because the elect, they will pit from the foundation of the earth. So if they seemed like they was a 2/3, really they were not down a 2/3. They were, they did go off, right? Because here's about that. We all have fell short from the grace of the Lord, okay? You know, but guess what? The elect, they were chosen for the foundation of the earth, and they're gonna live a life of, they're gonna have to come back into the mercy of the Lord, okay? But ultimately, they're gonna come back to the mercy of the Lord, all right? You know, and the Lord gonna have mercy on them, okay? It's not like they were chosen from the foundation of earth, right? And the Lord's not gonna have mercy on them. No, if you are the elect, you are chosen from the foundation of earth. Meaning, what the elect is already. It's not something where you know you think you are. It's not something because we don't know if we're the elect or not, okay? But what I'm saying is that you know if you're chosen from the foundation of earth, that means that you know there's no doubt that you're gonna receive mercy, right? You are gonna receive mercy, right? The Lord, He's just not gonna take the mercy off you and put it on the 2/3, right? Or put it on someone else, okay? If you're the elect, you are the elect. You're gonna receive mercy, right? Whoever it may be, right? And that's the thing about we don't know who the elect is, right? Only the Lord knows. Only the angels in heaven really knows, right? They know who the elect is, right? Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off from her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord vengeance. This is the time of Yahweh Shah vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Okay, as I'm going to write, the Lord vengeance. Okay, so he be not cut off in her iniquity. This is referring to the elect. The elect be not cut off her iniquity, right? The elect is not be cut off her iniquity, right? Because at simultaneously, right, when that destruction happens, when those nuclear missiles start flying, right, when warheads start hitting, right, there's gonna be a redemption of the elect, okay? They're gonna be redeemed from this earth, okay? It's not gonna be no certainly no rapture gonna happen, right? Where before the tribulation, the elect gonna be redeemed. No, the elect gonna be in the middle of the tribulation, and they're gonna they're gonna be redeemed from the tribulation, okay? They're gonna be saved from the tribulation, okay? Which the great tribulation is referring to what? The time of Jacob trouble, right? Where literally gonna be all hell breaking loose, okay? And people are gonna be know what to do, okay? This is why the Lord, this is why the what I believe, um, this is why there's a prayer, okay? Brother paraphrase, like keep them right, keep me from the day of the hour, the day of great tribulation. Brother paraphrasing, okay? Like they pray to keep the elect from the great tribulation, okay? Meaning what? So they want how to really go through the punishment, go through the experience, go through the terror, okay, of it, okay, because what they have been keeping the ways of the Lord, been worshiping the Lord, they are keeping His word, okay. Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad, okay. The nation have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad, okay. And ultimately, this wine going back to what? Its philosophies, its ways. Okay? The nations have drunken of the wine of Babylon, therefore they're mad. This is what we're seeing, right? We're seeing these nations being getting mad, right, from the wine of Babylon. Okay? This is why they're trying to so hard to depend less on Babylon the Great. They're trying to depend on their own selves, like but their economy is just not is not fit to be a their military might their is not fit to be a superpower, right? So it's like they have no choice to depend on America, okay? To depend on Babylon the Great, but ultimately we know they're mad, okay? They're mad at the whore, right? Russia, China, they're mad at the whore, okay? They drinking on the wine of the whore, right? Therefore they're mad, okay? Because really, what Trump want the whole entire North America to be under his control, okay? Canada, all right? He wanted Canada, right? Mexico, all right? Venezuela, Brazil, all right? Cuba. Really, he want all these different nations to be under his control, okay? I'll continue reading. It reads, Babylon is suddenly falling and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed, okay? We will have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go, every one into his own country. For her judgment receives it unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. Okay, so the judgment of Babylon has reached up to the heavenly Father. All right, and that's why we say, Lord, remember. Okay, we're I'm reading it now. The Lord didn't forget. Okay, the wickedness of Babylon the Great, the wickedness of the devil. Okay, you know, this is why the Lord going to judge the devil, judge Babylon the Great. All right. It's a time of judgment, right? We're in the time of judgment. These are the end times, right? End times. If these are the end times, these are the end times of the who? Esau ruling, right? The devil ruling, right? So if these are the end times, I mean what? Judgment gonna happen. Gotta happen. We're not playing, we're not standing. I don't think so. Whether we don't think this world that we know it, how we know it today, is gonna continue to run like this in 20, 10, 30 years, right? No, it's not going to happen, right? I have full faith and belief in that, okay? Whether it may not seem like it or whether it may not seem like it, I don't think it's going to rule like it's going to rule, right? We're just in a, we're just so far, it's just prophecies are happening, right? Like no tomorrow, right? Prophecies are happening like tomorrow, like no tomorrow. I'm skip down to the 24th verse, right? This is Jeremiah 51:24 reads, and I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldeans, of Chaldea, all their evil that they have done in Zion, right? Which Zion, which represents the nation of Israel, right? Or Jerusalem. It can be referred to Jerusalem as well, Yashralim. And your sight, says the Lord. So the Lord, He's gonna um, render Babylon all their evil, right? This refers to Babylon the Great, and this refers to it's just referring to the nation of Esau, right? It's referring to the Israelis too, those that proclaim themselves to be the chosen people of the Lord, right? Which just shows that that's the devil, that's just devilish characteristic anyways, right? Of course, that's the mind of the devil, right? Because they know that they are not the chosen people, okay? They know that, all right? There are many evidence of them not being the chosen people, right? But of course, you tell a lie big enough, then guess what? The people gonna start believing that lie, okay? And this is what the devil is doing. They're telling this big lie that they are the chosen people, right? They are the real Israelites, okay? That Jesus, right, so-called Jesus, right, is the one that died on the cross, right, which is a straight hair, blue-eyed, white-skinned man, right, died on the cross, right. The angels are white, okay, they're pale, right, are red, okay, and they're gonna all come back, okay. They're all in heaven, right, and heaven just peaceful, right, which is true, right. But heaven just peaceful pace where there won't be no wicked, there won't be no kingdom, there won't be no, all right, the white people are just gonna be dominant, right, ruling, right, in the sense of, but no, that's a complete false lie. That's a lie, okay, through the roof, right, and that's a big lie that the people, you know, are believing in, right. You tell a lie big enough, people gonna start believing in it, right, thinking that it's the truth, right. And you continue to tell that big lie, people gonna continue to believe in it, right? This is why we are the walls of lies have been thrown down piece by piece through the word of the Lord, right? Especially about the word of the Lord is strong. The word of the Lord is a piercing sword, piercing even to the divine in the flesh. So the word of the Lord is a sword, right? And one way to destroy a lie is to bring out the evidence, but filter it through the word of the Lord. Okay, bring out truth. Okay, but filter it through the word of the Lord. Okay, because there's plenty of evidence. Okay, there's plenty of evidence. Okay, on the web. Okay, proving that the devil is not who he say he is. Proving that the Israelis themselves to proclaim them to be the chosen people are not who they really is. Right? They are um the other tribe of Amalek, which is the house of Esau, which would meaning what they are heathens. Right? They're just heathens. Okay, ruling in the chosen people land. All right. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, says the Lord, which destroys all the earth, and I will stretch out my hand upon thee and roll thee down from the rocks. It will make thee a burnt mountain. All right. Now, this destroying mountain is referring to, Esau government, right? It's a destroying mountain. Okay. How do we know that it's a destroying mountain, right? Because what? Look, you see that peace through strength. Okay. Meaning what? That you go into these other countries, destroy their land, take their president, take everything that belongs to them that makes them sovereign, okay? And you just take control over it, okay? What did Trump say that he now have control over Venezuela? All right, and he's trying to do that to Greenland as well, which destroys all the earth, okay? Destroys all the earth. So there's destroying mountains, destroying government, destroy all the earth, okay? And roll thee down from the rocks, right? Roll thee down from the rocks, okay? It will make thee a burnt mountain, a falling government, a fallen system. Okay, a system that's no longer um, ruling. All right, seriously, I seen Lucifer like lightning cast down from heaven. Right, this devil, which the Lucifer were referring to the word Lucifer just mean, a light barrier, right? But who is the Lucifer referring to? Because you have, the elect could be Lucifer, right? They're bearing the light. They're bearing the light is what the word of the Lord, right? Which is the righteous light. Okay, but you also have something called, a you also have the light of the wicked, right? Which is just light or or wisdom they get from the left hand side, all right, from demons, right, which are unclean spirits. Okay, so ultimately, right, they're gonna be cast down from heaven. They're gonna be cast down from their high position, that rock, that mountain. Okay, and they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for a foundation, but thou shalt be desolate forever, says the Lord. So this devil, once he be destroyed, once he be burned down, he's not be able to build his system back up, right? The scripture speaks about that Babylon the Great, should be utterly destroyed and it should not be rise up again, right? Roughly paraphrasing, right? You know, there won't be no more. Babylon the Great, Esau system, Esau government will be forever destroyed, right? Forever, um, forever desolate. Okay. Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations. Okay. Prepare the nations against her. Call together against her the kingdoms of Er- Ararat, Minenah, and Ashikanas. Appoint a captain against her, cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. Okay, so you're referring to the other nations, right? Right, that also these nations that are against America, okay, against Babylon, okay, and this captain referring to the person that is, would be, you know which refer to the captain really right now is Russia, right? Because Russia is ultimately, you know, what he just met with like 80 different delegates, okay, that either that doesn't have the interests of the West, meaning what that they are either not trading with the West or the West they're sanctioned by the West, all right. He just met with them like a few days ago, okay, for other nations, right? So Russia is leading that charge, right? Or he's leading that charge of coming up against America. Okay, Russia is one of the not most the number one enemy of America. Okay, prepare against her the nations with the kings of Medes, right? The kings of Medes, which are the Iranians, all right? Iran, right? There's in that whole really that whole portion of that Iran, the cap the captains thereof and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. Okay, which are all his land of his dominion, right? The Iran and just you know Pakistan, right? Just all the different nations. Okay, Russia. Okay, and the land should tremble in sorrow, for every purpose of the Lord Yahweh should be performed against Babylon to make the land of Babylon a desolation without inhabitant. All right, so that is the um that is the purpose of the Lord to make America desolate. And how is the Lord going to do that? Right? We're seeing it. We're seeing it. How's He going to do it? Right? First, He need to get Trump so damn proud, right? So proud, right? You know that even his own fellows, right, his own allied nations are looking at him like, you need to calm down, right? But ultimately, they hate him. Okay, they really hate him. Okay, they hate America. Right. That's what we want. That's what the Lord. That's how the Lord is having this plays out, right? Because if you can get your ally to turn against you, that means that ultimately you don't have any support. Okay, you just alone, right? And when you're alone, you can't really defend yourself, right? So the Lord gonna have the enemies of Babylon the Great and the ally of Babylon the Great come against. Ultimately, nuke her, all right, burn her. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holes. Their might have failed. They become as woman. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. Right. So the mighty men of Babylon have before light. Now this is really, all right. This is really ironic because what there's a prophecy that says that the Lord gonna call the Egyptian to fight against them. Right. You know. So the Lord gonna allow this devil to fight against him because what the war in heaven, Michael his archangel fought against the devil and his angels, right? Which referring to Michael and Yahushua fighting against Esau's army, right? In order for that prophecy to be fulfilled, then the enemies of the Lord have to fight. Meaning what the military might, Space Force have to fight, right? But guess what? They're gonna be forbore to fight. Meaning what? They don't really want to fight, but they know they're gonna have to fight, right? Like the Lord want a good fight, okay? The Lord is a man of war, okay? If he's a man of war, that means that he want war, okay? They have remained in their holes, meaning they remain in their bunkers. They remain in their bases. Okay, you see a lot of people that is of the U.S. Army, right? But that is in the U.S. military, right? But they're online speaking against the country, right? Speaking against American interests, right? I.e., speaking against the Israeli, condemn the Israelis, right? You know, etc., right? Because their might is falling, right? You know, their might is falling. Okay, they became as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. Okay, one post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end. Okay, which goes back to what the news, right? The news, right? They're gonna this destruction of America be broadcast nationwide. Trust me. Okay, the Lord will allow it. I believe the Lord will allow it to be broadcast nationwide, just to put that fear, and just to show that Esau, he don't control anything. He don't rule the kingdom, man. Right? He's proud. Right? Him ruling. Him says that he gonna rule forever and ever. Right? Nothing's gonna happen to him. Right? They're just proudness. Okay. Right? Because when you continue reading, right, it's gonna go into like Nebuchadnezzar, right? It's gonna go into the ancient Babylon, but we know when you continue to read, it really goes because it goes into what how Babylon gonna become a desolation, gonna become a wilderness, right? It's gonna be an astonishment upon the heathens, right? The other nations, right? But this is talking about the Babylon the Great, okay? So I'm gonna jump down to that verse. So this is for the one verse. It said, "How is Shaphat taken, and how is the praise of the whole earth surprised? How is Babylon becoming astonishment among the nations? Astonishment, meaning what? Like a ultimate hatred. Okay, you know, a joke. You know, the sea is come up upon Babylon. She is covered with a multitude of the waves thereof. Right, her cities are a desolation, a dry land, and a wilderness. So this sea is referring to the army, right? A military might, okay, a force which has come upon Babylon. And she covered to multitude of the ways thereof, okay, you know. So a force is going to cover, and guess what? This ultimately we know this is going to cause what? It can cause it's going to cause this destruction, cause earthquake. It might even cause a tsunami, right? That really cover really cover the land, right? The sea is come upon Babylon. She is covered with a multitude of the ways thereof. Her cities are a desolation, a dry land, a wilderness, a land where is no man dwelleth. Right. So if Babylon, if the ancient Babylon became a land where no man dwelleth, why? Right. In Iran, you still have people there. Right. Okay. How's that prophecy been fulfilled? Right. We know this is not talking about that prophecy. We know this is talking about Babylon the Great. Okay. We know that. All right. Neither does any son of man pass thereby. Okay. And I will punish Baal and Babylon, and I will bring forth out his mouth that has swallowed up, and the nations shall not flow together anymore unto him. Yea, the wall of Babylon shall fall. Okay, so the strength of Babylon will fall. Okay, Babylon will just fall in general. All right, my people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. All right, and this for to the elect. Okay, and lest your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor should both come 1 year, and after that is another year should come a rumor. And violence in the land, ruler against ruler. All right. So you have how what government rise up against the president, right? You have rumors of just different rumors, right? You know, going throughout the land, right? Because people know that some type of destruction, some type of war is about to about to happen. Okay, people feel it in their spirit, right? That all hell's gonna break loose. Mm-hmm. We'll just get Matthew 24 and 24, and I'm gonna close it. Matthew 24, and I just really want one verse out of here. Just really. Matthew 24 says the right reason you should hear wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right, we're hearing of wars and rumors of wars. Okay, and there's wars happening currently. For nations shall rise against nations, and kingdom against kingdom, and there should be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Right, which are happening. Okay, all these are the beginning of sorrows. All these are the beginning of sorrows. All these are the beginning of perilous times. All these are the beginning of Jacob trouble. All these are the beginning of the fall of Babylon the Great, of Esau. Okay? And it's raining. So I'm close here by you all. Go to Yahweh. Bashan, Shabbat, Shalom.